Let's pray that the Ford moves again. All right. So your agenda for today and what we're going to cover. So we are going to cover engagement and retention matters, understanding adult learners, barriers and connections, the house system, strategies for success, design with impact, events and celebrations.
Go with.
Is it not working? So I'm not gonna read this to you, just because, nobody likes having anything read to them as a teacher. But, just to give you an idea about, Brevard Adult Community Education, our main thing is that we are here for our community, we are here for our students. And that we are, open door and we wanna make sure that they each have a quality education. The mission statement and the vision was all written by the staff. And so we came together and we make sure that it was updated and fitting for what we were doing for our programs. I don't know why. So the technology they left us is not working. I am so sorry about this, guys. I feel like this is.
Of course, when they were with us, they checked it and it was working.
Right, there we go. Okay, don't touch this.
Okay.
So why we do this? We do this to build trust. Adult learners return to us after a lot of setbacks. We don't know what they've gone through up to this point and the problems that they've incurred, since they've arrived to us. We do it for a sense of community, to bring them part in as our programs, as what is going on around us. And everything that we want them to be involved in, we want them to be engaged and we want them to be motivated. And we want them to feel like they are part of our program and feel loved. We want to make a lasting impact and, they come to us for all different levels. Everything from a GED in an adult high school to our ELL learners to workforce programs. So there's a variety of different things that they come to us for, but we want to help change their lives in the process. Beyond enrollment it's not all about numbers. It's about all the different things that you have going on in your programs. And those are things to remember. Yes, the numbers matter, but you need to remember that there are things about these individuals that you want to make the connections between everyone. So as I was saying, we create our programs with a strong support system to see a notable increase and the persistence of students, and we want them to keep continuing to come in. We want them to keep continuing to join. So they move from one program to another. We want them to stay retained and turn into one of our traditional students. So you can go from adult high school and GED, you can move into our IET programs or pre-IT or a workforce program. So we want them to roll up on what they're doing and what they're here with us for. And that when they do those programs, it creates a higher engagement with higher retention rates and higher benchmarks and things that we're trying to reach out and do. So you have to know your adult learners. That's one of the biggest things. We hear it all the time. It's about building your relationships and knowing them because they have a lot that they have to balance, whether it be home, family, work, trying to do their education, working part-time, full-time, it varies. They're coming from varied educational backgrounds. Some from the point where they didn't complete high school, some because, if they're coming to us for our workforce programs, maybe coming from another country and they already have a master's degree, but they're coming to us because their language barriers. So we have to take all of that into account. We need to know our students so that we can best communicate with them. And then we want to make sure that it's relevant for what they're doing, but we also want to make sure that they are respected in the environment that they're in. And then finally, we want to make sure they're motivated by the clear goals and practical outcomes that we have set up for them in each one of their programs. So common barriers for us, and you will find that probably a lot of these align with what you were doing yourselves. One of the biggest ones is transportation, childcare and financial challenges, time constraints and scheduling conflicts, limited digital literacy or access, low confidence or past negative school experiences, and lack of consistent communication or support. So at Adult Ed, we have ways that we make a difference both in and out of the classroom. And so through that, we start with fostering those connections. So you gotta start from the very beginning. That means even before they start with you. So for us, they could be an online or an in-person registration. So that means that we could be helping them through the registration process itself. So they can call into us if they're having difficulties. They can also come to the office and there's an individual in the office that will help them walk through it. How to make the payments, how to do all that. We need to make them feel supported from the very beginning and making that connection. Once they're done with that, we move them into their TABE and CASAS testing. So before they even get into the classroom, we explain to you, this is not for a grade, okay? This is for something so that we can best support you as a student and know what you don't know, and what I need to know so that I can help make you successful as an individual. And then with our ACT work keys that has to do with our workforce programs, it's on the same lines as your TABE and CASAS, but we do it for the workforce programs. So we use two sets of different numbers for them, but they work out. And then I'm gonna let Susan explain the counselor intake part.
So we have 3 different counselors for each one of our centers because we have 3 centers and we want to make sure that every student at every center gets that personal initial intake. We also have a couple of evening counselors because we do run an evening program as well. Just to make sure that we're able to, at the beginning, when they first enroll with us, do, of course, a credit evaluation. Well, actually, let me back up. Who in here does adult high school? Just raise your hand. Okay, just one. Everybody else? Okay, 2. Okay, so then probably, any counselors in here? Okay, but then you probably do know that the process is that we go through the evaluation to see where they are as far as their graduation requirements. If they're going towards their GED, of course, we want to meet with them and explain the process and make sure that they understand the differences. So we do all of that during the counselor intake. And then at that time, we're also trying to find out what their future goals are, what they're wanting to work, pursue, and sometimes they don't know. So we kind of talk them through that, just say, it's okay to not know right now, but if there's anything that you have any interest in, and we have that program available, we definitely want to make sure that they're taking action steps towards getting that certification or going into that program. Because sometimes we know the students coming to us, because they haven't had good school experiences, they're not really quick or to be proactive for themselves in their best interests. So having that counselor intake is an opportunity for them to know that there's options for them, and also to have somebody that they're comfortable with right from the beginning, that they can talk through their goals.
So the great thing about our programs is that because we want them to be individualized, both towards our students, but also towards the classes that they're taking, we have 2 different orientations. So we have an orientation that is geared towards our GED, adult high school programs, and our pre-IET. So like our financial literacy class falls into that category because it's a workforce, but it's not a workforce program, but I'll get into that later. But they also have our workforce ones. And so what we do for the GED and adult high school programs is every week until it slows down, 1 day a week, we go through all the videos and everything after Career Live. And I'll explain that a little bit later. But we repeat it over and over and over again with all of our new students because we have an open enrollment. So they are constantly coming in. So we want to make sure that nobody is getting missed in those orientation processes. And then as things slow down, we move to once a month, but we also make sure that we are doing this for both our day and our evening classes. So we're consistent about it. We have videos that are set up online so that they can go back and they can review them and they can look at them to see all the different things. If they have questions, right down to PowerPoints, sorry, that have all of our information on it so they know who they need to reach out to at the time that they have questions on it, because they may see us real quick for 30 seconds, but then they're like, oh, I forgot my counselor's name. Or what's my teacher's name? Because in the very beginning, how many actually remember their teachers' names? And we know that not everybody is digitally set up, and so they don't go in and look up stuff online. So it makes it easier for them to find it and to get to. And then for our workforce programs, what we do is a pre-screening process. And so we sit down, we talk to them about the expectations, what the class is going to be, how long the class is going to be, how many days that are expected, because there's hours that go along with that, and they need to understand that. And the stuff that overlaps, we still go through all that, but we do that before the class starts. So it's not during the class, so it's not taking out of the hours that is needed. And the great thing about all of these is that, like I said before, we record them, and so that they can go back and they can look at them later. So how we make this an even better personal experience, bigger and better.
So we all know that to make the best experiences for our students, we want to make connections and we want to form relationships. So that is a big emphasis for us at Brevard Adult Community Education. So we actually have stepped way out of the box with an idea that I think you guys are going to be able to understand why we implemented with adults, even though it originated at a middle school called the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. Has anyone heard of the Ron Clark Academy? Good. Anybody else? Yeah. And you may have seen videos online of a principal who's dancing with his students and he knows all of the most modern dances. And recently there was a graduation and he was dancing with one of the graduates as she was going across the stage, and it went viral. But he also was the movie Ron Clark Academy that Matthew Perry starred in. That's what we base this on. So we are a Ron Clark Academy school now. And you might be thinking, we're working with adults and this is a middle school that we're using the model for, but it's humans. It's human learners. And we know that the best way to get students engaged, whether they are young or adults, is for them to feel like they belong and that there's a sense of community. And this actually gives instant sense of belonging and community. So what you're looking at is, can we go back for 1 second?
Yep.
What you're looking at are the crests for the 4 major houses of Ron Clark Academy. So all of our students enter and are rolled into one of these houses, and so are the staff, and I'll explain a little bit more about how we do that. But think about this as being like a fraternity or sorority that now these students are into. And traditionally, adult learners will know nothing of that, except maybe to see it, online. But themselves, they've not felt a part of something. So we have this right from the beginning that they are going to be a part of. And so what does it do? The Ron Clark Academy house system builds that belonging and teamwork that we want to see from all of our students, promotes character and leadership, because character isn't something that we can say people know just because they're adults or people have because they're adults. It has everything to do with past experiences. And again, not every student, but the majority of our students haven't had the easiest time in life. And so not that means that you have a bad character, but they may not be used to practicing some of the characteristics, the good characteristics, positive, and the ones that are good for society.
Sorry.
It increases engagement and school spirit, recognizes effort, attitude, and service, and I'll show you how that works. It teaches empathy and collaboration because of what it rewards. And it's not just for the students. So each one of our students will know that we have been rolled out as staff as well. So I might have a student who is part of the house that I'm in, which is Amistad. I'll explain that, the red house. And immediately when they see me, and they see me wearing my red and repping my colors, they know that we're in the same family already. And
I was like, I did it the way you did it.
And these are some real life pictures of our students. Each one of our students, when they're rolled out, they get a t-shirt for their house with the color and the name. And so that's one of our IET programs up top. And those are the emblems. Actually, they're both IET. both of these pictures are IET students, and they love it. Now, right, thank you. This is an adult high school. And he's getting rolled out. Yep, he's in the house, he's in the blue house, Revere, and I'll explain what all of this means. But we always say, just like the Ron Clark Academy says, you don't choose your house chooses you. It is random how these students get rolled in, and we just use that big wheel. So now just to give you a little bit about the house system, and this is not necessarily to sell Ron Clark to you, but it's for you to have an idea of why it works. So altruismo is the black house, and it's the house of the givers. So when a student is rolled out and they belong to the black house of altruismo, already we're telling them that we recognize that they're part of the house of givers. And so, there's the house name, house crest, house color, house animal. There's a chant that goes along with it. There's a hand signal. Again, just like a fraternity or sorority, right? So when they recognize each other, they have something in common. And that's not a chant for my house, that's a chant for their house. That's theirs, it belongs to them. Amistad is my house, the red house, and the Smith. And again, it just happens to be that way. So obviously it comes from the Spanish, and it's the house of love and friendship. And so it has, all of them have the same thing with the house crest and, slight differences with the chants, the hand signals, but each one of them have it. Now, I never say this word right, because it's French. Revere, right? Is that closer to how it's supposed to be said? Okay, good. So this is the Blue House, and our director, Lori Benjamin, sitting over there, is Blue House, and she represents her house, let me tell you. And so that's the house of the dreamers. And hand signal, and this is stuff that anybody can kind of look up if it's something that you decide you want to implement in any form. And there's things that you can tweak, but if you decided you wanted to have something going on in your classroom that has a chant and has a hand signal, you can always look for these online and kind of use them as a guideline. We're also posting our presentation in the app, so you will have that. The fourth house that we use is Isabindi, the greenhouse. And this is the house of courage. And Scott Carlisle sitting over there helping us with our tech. He is Isabindi. So he reps his green, and I don't know which one you ended up with, but I'm seeing the green. It's looking good. She's wearing a green shirt. Okay, almost. So yeah, these are the four houses that we use. And so again, we roll out randomly, but we want to make sure that we're using this as a way, again, for belonging, but the students are rewarded through this. And these are the things that we reward them for, because the things that we want to see, things we know that are going to help them make progress, and it sort of gamifies it for them. Instead of saying, just go do your work, now they can work towards something and know that they're going to get a point for their house. So they get points when they help someone else, acts of kindness, overcoming a barrier. So if we know that our students maybe have children at home and it's hard for them to come in on a test day, but they still make it happen, that's overcoming a barrier. And we want to celebrate that and reward them in real time. And this is one of the best ways to do it, because no matter what age you are, there's a part of us that wants to be recognized in real time. And this allows us to do it. Pursue a passion or goal. So again, this can be something as simple as we have a high school student or GED student who joins an IET, because they decided maybe they need to leave us and have some other certification, some other skill. And so they decided to go ahead and join. So that's something we want to see from them, obviously, because we know it's good for them. But now they also understand that they're going to be celebrated for it. 100% attendance per quarter. Self-explanatory. It doesn't happen often, but especially in our population, we know that a lot of them can start slipping away when they're not coming, right? or they won't make progress in their classes, and then that will frustrate them, and then they'll stop coming. So we always want to make sure that they stay engaged, so we try to reward that. Critical thinking, outside the box, whenever they do that, we know that's gonna serve them, both in their classes and in the community and in jobs, just in life, we want them to practice that. Attending BASE events. So BASE is what we have the acronym for Brevard Adult and Community Education. So whenever they attend the events, again, it's increasing that feeling of belonging. And especially with the transient nature of adult education, the more we can have them feeling like somebody's looking forward to seeing them, is the more likely they are to continue coming. Earning MSG for any program. Florida Ready to Work credentials. Does everybody know what Ready to Work is? Well, we have a little bit more of an explainer about that, but basically this is getting them prepared for going out into the job field. Team wearing the most shirts. So again, that's the day that they will wear the t-shirts you saw in the picture, which is generally Mondays, the first day of the week, because we want them to rep their house. And we want them to be able to recognize who else is in their house. Again, feel that sense of community and belonging. And excitement, because if they can just see who's wearing the most shirts, and they kind of encourage the other house members, because they want to get a house point. Passing GED ready, passing an EOC or CLT per subject, school spirit participation. So when we notice that they do anything, we have another, we have a spirit week right before the holidays, and we notice that they are engaging in that. We reward that. And then for security purposes in our particular organization, we need to have them wear badges and have a car decal. So when we see them doing that, then we want to reward that. So you can kind of see how we're using this to get what it is that we want to see out of them, but it's progressing them all along the way. Yes. Okay. Staff also earn points. We're all part of a house as well, like I said. So we help our students' house, or again, we're just one big house, right? Of faculty and students. So we do things to earn points for the house as well. So maybe we cover a class for a pair who's not there. Lessons outside of the box, acts of kindness. We always want to see that, right? Co-workers. Overcoming a barrier, pursuing a passion or goal, attending BASE events, the team wearing the most shirts. We do that with our students, and wearing BASE spirit shirts on Fridays. So at our organization, you'll see everybody wearing a shirt like this on Fridays. And that's because, again, the branding, the cohesiveness, the family spirit is letting even our students know that this is a professional organization and that we're cohesive and there for them. It makes them feel better about where they're attending. So I keep mentioning points. So it might sound like it's pretty hard to award all of these students points for all the little things that they do, and you think, okay, teachers are busy, how can we do this? And if you had to do it on paper, it probably would be miserable. But luckily, there's an app for that. So the RCA House app, people don't always have to have that. There can be other systems for how they award points, but luckily we were able to get the app. It makes life so much easier and so much more fun, because it's an app that the students have on their phone. I'm sure you guys know that that's the best way to communicate with students. If it can be on their phone, and if it can look like an app, and if it can look like a game, now we're in business, right? So this is just this first page, or the first screen of the app, and it tracks everything for us. So all we have to do is go up there, put in the student's name, and then hit next. It'll bring up all the criteria that I went over with you. So let's just say they're wearing their shirts on Mondays, their house shirts, and repping their house. Then we give them a point for that. And it automatically goes there, and it tallies everything for us. It tallies individual student points and house points. So now we are competing with each other in a healthy way. And it's always more fun when kind of competing with each other, isn't it? Let's be honest, it is. And we cheer on everybody. So even if, for example, I'm in Amistad, but if Revere is at the head of the standings at that time, we're gonna cheer them on. And you can see how that's another skill that we want to teach our students, right? We want them to be able to work hard, but we want them to be able to be happy for other people too, while still trying to do better, right? This is just a fun way to do it. All right. So now I'm kind of glad we didn't end up with the hugest group for this activity, because I think you guys will have more fun with this. But this is an activity you guys are going to get up, and you guys are your blood's going to move a little bit. So we gave you those little cards when you walked in. Does anybody not have a card? Did anybody come in afterward? Anybody not have a little card with a crest on it? Okay, good. So now you can imagine that the crest that's on there is the house. Remember, you don't choose your house, the house chose you. So whatever you see there, you have to embody. It means that you've embodied some of the characteristics, okay? So now we're gonna ask you guys to split up by your house, and then we're gonna play rock, paper, scissors. You're gonna play rock, paper, scissors and cheer on your group with what you make your cheer. If it wants, you want it to be claps, make it claps. If it's woos, make it woos. But that's your house cheer, okay? And then as you're playing, you're gonna eliminate until you have just one person in your house, and then we're gonna have a house off, okay? Is that pretty clear? I'll say it again if anybody needs it. Pretty simple, pretty clear? Okay, so I'm gonna ask that Amistad, the red house, come up here. I'm sorry, I have to do Amistad first. It's in my heart. So the red house is gonna be up here. We'll have the blue house over there, nearest Benjamin. It's the Bindi, this third table over here, so that's the green house. And Altruismo will be that fourth table back there. And Altruismo is the black house. Again, black, Altruismo, house of the givers. Blue, house of dreamers. Green, house of courage. And who did I miss? Amistad, of course, love and friendship. And everybody online, I need you guys to cheer, okay? Cheer. Whatever house you think you would be part of, whether you're a dreamer or courage, you're a giver, or love and friendship, I need you to cheer. Can we get some responses in the chat that they're cheering for? Yeah? Okay. All right. So come up with your cheers in your group and then get to house, paper, scissors.
All right, what do you guys think? We love to cheer. Simple, right?
So it can be as simple as a woo-hoo or a.
Go blue. Go blue. Go blue. Okay. All right, so when are we starting? Rock, paper, scissors.
As soon as you have a chair.
All right, Virginia. I will go first. Does everyone know the rock? Does everyone know how to play rock, paper, scissors?
So.
Stanley's the encouragement and support to all you guys.
All right, so 2 people go, and then the rest of us cheer, and whoever wins, you'll play the next person until the group's done. That's how you do it. All right, so you guys ready?
Oh, it's okay, okay.
Go blue, go blue, go blue, go blue, go blue, go blue, go blue. All right, what do we got?
So then your cheer. When you move it out. All right, you ready? You're cheering.
Go, right, go blue, go blue. Okay, say again. Go blue, go blue, go blue, go blue. All right, so now you're gonna play. Wow, you're gonna play her. We're gonna cheer you on. Go blue, go blue, go blue. Go blue, go blue. Oh, you got a winner. You got a winner here. Winner. I'll do this first. I'll do for you first. Alright, so I have go blue. Alright, blue.
I'm gonna play my love. And I have a winner for red.
So far we have winners in the blue house and the red house, Amistad. So we have the house of the dreamers and the house of love and friendship.
Okay, big. All right, go blue, go blue,
And red,
go blue.
the red house, you got to cheer on your red.
Yeah, go blue, go blue, go blue.
All right,
Go blue.
let's have a rock, paper, scissors off.
All right.
Best of three.
Go blue.
Best of
Best
three.
of three. One more.
Best of
Come
three.
on, go blue. 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 Go blue.
Oh, this is a battle.
One more. Okay, come back to three, right? So we got
Best of three. We're having a battle here.
Go blue. Go blue.
Oh, okay. Revere, blue house won. Now we're gonna have
Yeah.
a rock, paper, scissors off between Altruismo and Isabindi, the greenhouse and the red house. Best of three.
I got to cheer. All right, everybody.
And everybody cheers now.
Go.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Right. Go.
Oh, hey.
Rock, paper, scissors.
All right, that's two.
Okay.
So you win. So you win. Yeah, that's
Win.
it.
Okay, so that
Okay, so
Oh, no, you can't leave me.
and
was.
what's your house? Isabindi?
I'm green.
Green. Green, Isabindi, and reverse. So the house of the dreamers against the house of courage. Best of three. Now you guys have to cheer them on.
All right.
Even if you're out of it, and cheer them on.
Go blue.
Ready, set, go.
Go blue. Go blue.
Best of three.
Go blue.
Next one.
Go blue.
Rock, paper,
Rock,
scissors.
scissors.
Yep.
Go blue.
It's a battle.
Go blue. Go blue.
So our winners, the House of Courage. Isabindi Greenhouse.
So as part of our prize and as part of Ron Clark Academy, as part of our prize in the Ron Clark Academy, we have the, Scott. We have the Ron Clark Be 1% Better transformation book for you. It's an awesome book. It's a very informative and eye-opening book. And I learned a lot. There's a lot of highlights and tags in that book. So I would highly suggest picking up. If you haven't already gotten it, you need to get it. Maybe 1% better.
1% better.
And that is the halfway point of the year.
Yes.
You can apply that to any one.
Did I forget my accent? Oh, see, I got so excited while I was sitting there playing that I kept hitting the buttons as I was walking by.
Thank you guys for doing that in such good spirits. Thank you.
So, and the great thing is that we do all of that sorting and all of that after every single orientation, so that no student is missed out. And our orientations are also done online after our career live. So you're watching all three of our campuses but they're doing
The rollouts.
the rollouts and everything online. And so we're all cheering for each other as they go through. So whether it be our Melbourne campus, our Cocoa campus, or our Titusville campus.
And already making connections because we're cheering on when somebody enters our house.
So, yes. All right, so past our good part that helps hold our glue together, we have a structured support system. And so now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. So we work on our academic coaching and our tutoring, access to our wraparound service and our early alert systems to identify our at-risk students. Okay. So we want to make sure that they have personalized learning experiences. And then to do that, we have what we call Challenge to Champion. So on Thursdays, because we have a hybrid model, our students are both online and in person. And so with that, we encourage our students every day when they're at home that they can come in, but they get, a point. Should they come in extra on Thursdays or one of the days during the week? But, Thursdays is one of those days where it's the most flexible for them, so. Thursdays was the day that we're like, woo-hoo. So we also have power hours, so with our teachers, they rotate. What they will do is 2 subjects, so they'll do reading and math, and they'll do, science and social studies. Woo, see, it's one of those things, your nerves kick in and you're just like, oh. So they will do those in 2 different days, and the teachers will go through and they'll do those lessons, and those are geared around the things that they are missing throughout the lessons that the students are struggling with in the classrooms. So they're geared towards that, and then using their testing and everything else that goes along with it. And I'll go into a little bit more of that later. We use Google Classroom. It's used for one-on-one work, so it's directly sent to the students so that they're able to do it when they get home, or wherever they may be, because you can access Google through your phone or your laptop. Lessons are personalized for each individual student, so they all have their programs that they're all working on, and we're working as things as a group. But as we said in the beginning, there's, between your TAG, your CASAS, and your work keys. And then as they're going their GED practice tests and things like that, those are all things that we're finding that they're deficient in or that they need help in. And so we gear whatever we give them as extra additional lessons towards that. Our curriculum is based upon where our students are struggling. And so what we do is use real life connections, because not doing so, they don't always understand what you're talking about. And especially for our ELL students, it helps make those connections in the vocabulary that we're using. We make sure that we are also doing weekly check-ins with our students, having the data chats, talking to them, and it's not all just about what they're struggling with in school. It may be other things that they just need help with because they're adult learners and they need to know that somebody's there, that they care, and that we're listening. Do we need to send them over to Miss Mercier because they have a question? Is it something that I can help take care of with transportation? Can we get them a bus pass, or do we use a van? Because we rent a van that through Enterprise, and so we will take students if they're having difficulty getting to a test. I will go and get them, and I will bring them to the testing location. If there's a whole bunch of them, we'll have them meet at the main campus. Whether it be Melbourne or Cocoa or Titusville, and then I will transport them to where they need to go. We also do that with our field trips, so the students don't have to deal with that responsibility of having to worry about that, to make sure that they get to what events that they need. So we also have immediate feedback, because how many times have you done something and you're like, well, how did that go? Like, I don't know. Well, 2, 3, 4 days later, nobody's gonna catch on. They're gonna forget what they were doing. So it's immediate feedback, whether it be in the program, something they're working on. The students need to know how they're doing, how they're feeling about it, be more encouraged, be like, okay, you didn't get it right this time, that's okay. We're gonna keep working on it. And then you have classroom expectations that are covered on a regular basis. And the reason why I say that is because we do have the ongoing enrollment. And so what you may have covered on the first 3 weeks you were here, you came in 4 weeks later and you don't know what my expectations are. And so constantly going over it helps the new person understand what the expectations are, but it also reminds the students in the classrooms of what the expectations are. So because sometimes they just need that little extra to say, hey, you know what, remember, don't do that. So these are our tracking sheets. So the 2 on your left, are for our GED program. And the one on the right is for our adult high school programs. And this is where we get back into the individualized student, because we're writing down, where are they struggling at? How are they doing it? Have they mastered it? Or is it practical? Is it something that we need to focus on? We have room for notes. If they're doing their practice tests, how did they do on their practice tests? Are they scoring really low? Are we moving up? Are we getting to the point where they're ready to test? These are all things that we go through and we talk to our students about when we're doing those data chats, so that they understand we're paying attention to what you're doing and how you're doing on it. We ask them, What do you think you need to work on? Because what I may see is not what they see. They may be struggling on something that they're just not communicating to us, and so we talk about that. And they have a weekly reflection, you know, what they need to work on, what is challenging for them, and even asking them what do you need to work harder on next time? Like what change needs to be made? Whether it be for personal purposes, or they just need that mental encouragement, you know what? I need to focus more this week, or I need to get off my cell phone because, you know, I've been attached to that a little too much. So that's what those first two are. And the one side is a math, one side is reading and, sorry. So then over here, you have our student study guide and progress tracker for our adult high school. So I'm missing one page because it does have the verbal reasoning, the grammar and writing, and the quantitative reasoning, but we're able to check off those boxes when they have mastered that subject. Or I can circle that box because they mastered it, but they're not comfortable in it, you know, so they'll be like, you know what? I did it, I met my scores, but I'd really like to go over this a little bit more. And so those are things that we can send out to them in their Google Classroom or their individual assignments and be like, hey, you know what, here's a little extra practice on this to help out with that. And those are all ways that we can keep track of that. And those are all things that we keep in front of us as teachers, so I can flip through it. And you know, you can make it digital. We have these digitally too. It just depends on the teacher and what they're comfortable with. But it makes it easier. So like if Susan comes in and wants to see where a student is at, she doesn't want to disrupt, you know, the teacher and say, hey, can I see the binder so I can see where they're at? Miss Benjamin walks in and she wants to see what's going on, where the student is, what progress are they making? Are they moving along in their programs? You know, are we stuck at 6%? Why are we stuck at 6%? So those are conversations that we have in the process. And these are great ways to keep track of what they're doing. So early alert systems for every school, every situation is going to be different. So these are geared for our students, but you pick what your students need. So for us, it's their test scores. You know, how are they doing in, you know, their GED practice tests? How are they doing in their Florida Ready to Work programs? We're looking to see, are there improvements? Is there a decrease? Where is there a decrease? Is it a certain math subject that they're struggling in? Is this a certain grammar subject or English? So we're checking things like that. Participation in platforms. Are they progressing? Are they staying at 15%? Is it because they're absent? Is it because they don't understand the materials? Those are things that we all have to look at it in the variety of different programs that they're doing. Attendance. As adult learners, that's a struggle. And for us, after 6 days, if you are not in attendance, you are kicked out. Well, I want to say kicked out. You are removed from the attendance roster, and then we have to re-enroll. And so we try to use attendance to catch them 2, 3, 4 days. Hey, what's going on? Why aren't you coming in? You know, is this something that I can help you out with? Is this something we need to talk about? Do I need to switch you from day classes to night classes? Is your work schedule? Those are all different things that fall under attendance. Number of times. Yep.
And you can see where even the app would be helpful towards something like this, because the student is gonna, can they not hear me? Okay, you can see where the app would be helpful with some of what's going on here. And that's why we have those parameters in the app, so they can get real time. And you know, if we find that we have a student that we're talking about attendance and they get that motivation to get the points for their house by coming in, if they have the choice to slack off or come in. Hopefully something like knowing that your house is depending on you to help them win kind of motivates them a little bit more. You know, sometimes we do things more for others than we do for ourselves, for our team. And they can get immediate feedback and we can celebrate them immediately for having made that choice. And we also discover barriers to those kind of things, because you know, I really wanted to come in, but, and you know, we might be able to help with that, but, and it wouldn't have come up maybe otherwise.
And so when you get down to it, there's doing your surveys, okay? You can do them through Google, you can do them through Menti, you can do them through a variety of different things. But using those surveys actually gives you a lot of keys on what would be your early alert systems, because they're gonna tell you, hey, I have a problem with transportation. I have problems with childcare. I have a lot going on with family. They may not necessarily tell you, hey, this is me, because it can be anonymous, but at least it gives you a trigger in the background that says, hey, I need to focus on this. Somebody's struggling with this. If they wanna come and talk to you about it, they can. If they don't, at least you know somebody's got that going on and you need to be mindful of that. Check-ins. As we do them in the classrooms. How you doing today? Welcome to class. As soon as you walk in the front door, you know, and they're coming in, it's just greetings, hello, make them feel like they are belonged. A check-in doesn't necessarily have to be about what's on paper. Okay, you know, it's like your dog had surgery yesterday, you know, how'd the dog do? You know, there's a variety of different things that you can check in about to let them know that you're caring and that you have that personal connection with them and they're not there just as a number. And disengaged students. I can hear you in my head right now. Sorry. It's one of those things. So disengaged students, we have a student right now that we have made the connection that he does not like being on our online programs. So we are now doing paper. And he is doing everything by paper. You know, how he's working through the assignments, how everything's getting done. You have to make that connection for the student. If they're not participating, why are they not participating? Is it a technological issue? Do they not have what they need at home? Is it something that we can provide for them? Was it something like this? He just wanted hands-on items. He's a drawer. He's artistic. He wants to be able to draw all over his homework. Well, fine. If he wants to draw on his homework, fine. As long as it's turned in, the answers are correct, and he's getting his material done, so be it. You know, you have to make it fit that individual student. Proactive communication. I can't tell you how important this is in so many different levels. So, you know, you have to be supportive and respectful with communication. Like you were saying this morning, you know, about dropping the F-bomb during the presentation that, you know, it's how I have that conversation. What kind of body language am I, you know, standing with my arms crossed, you know? You have to make that part of what you're doing, and you have to be respectful about what you're talking about in the subjects. You know, regular check-ins, in the office and meetings through Zoom, because we are hybrid, so we need to be able to check in with them. If they're not comfortable doing it on Zoom, then we need to call, okay? Making sure that the timely feedback and on progress. How are you doing? How are things going? Are you moving forward in a timely manner? Or are you taking, you know, 6 months to get through one chapter of the book? And transparent expectations and reminders that they know what their expectations are. That they are being gone over multiple times to say, hey, this is what you're working on, this is what your goals are. So creating a supportive learning environment, we want to make sure that it's a welcoming, inclusive classroom culture, that peer collaboration and community building activities are available and constant, and recognition of achievements and milestones. Huge component. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. So leveraging technology. Technology is part of everything we're doing today. Everything in your classrooms, everything outside of the classrooms, and what we're doing. So you've got to be able to be flexible with the systems that you're using. It may not always be the same system for what you need to communicate or what the lesson needs to be. Using digital literacy for support and reading programs. Is the person online? Are they in person? You know, what kind of tutoring do they need? Tools for tracking progress and engagement. Finding the right tools to support our students. So here are free programs. Some of the free programs that we use at school. So we have Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, Grok, Google Classroom, Notebook LM, Kahoots, Diffit, Gemini, and Magic School. Now I'm gonna give you some little key components on how I use it, okay? And I know that seems like a lot. I focus more in Copilot and in Gemini and my Google Classroom. Because one feeds off the other. My data and everything that is Microsoft oriented, I use my Outlook, and I use all of that for it. When I'm doing things that are more design oriented, or I want something real quick, or I want something written, then I focus more on Gemini. It gives me more productive things and what I'm looking for. We learned this whole last week, Diffit, that is an amazing program, I don't know where this has been and I needed that. Because it literally, you point in, you can do a drop and click, if you're doing a reading passage, you can drop that reading passage in there. And it helps create the whole thing right down to the worksheets. And you can make whatever changes and everything, you know, just like you're singling out, okay, I want it for third grade, I want it for this reading level, I want it for this, you can gear it towards whatever you want it to be. And it cuts down the amount of time you have to do something, you look like you.
Is it like an AI thing?
Yep.
Okay.
And free.
And it's free.
Free. That's the best part about all of these. They are all free. Now, do they all have their upscale programs? Yes. But free, best things, free. And even though you think Kahoot's kind of elementary, I use it as review. Same thing, I will drop our logistics lessons. Or what we were doing for construction, I will pull a chapter and I will drop it in there, and then I have it make questions. You know, that they can use as review questions and it goes through it, the CLT and all that fun stuff. So why spend hours creating something when it can do it for you in 5 minutes or less? You know, there's things, there's always going to be things that you want to do by hand. There are things that there's no need for you to waste your time, that you could apply that time to something else. Okay, so up here, quick little Menti. Share what, so you're gonna go to menti.com, where you can scan that QR code. And in that little magic thing on your phone, tell me, what are AI programs that you use? Or that you know somebody uses that are beneficial? Because there may be programs that you know that I don't know, that I want to steal and share.
And if you can't scan it, you can just go to menti.com on your computer or on your phone and pull it up, and then you just put in that code.
Anybody need me to read them the code? No?
I just say one thing.
Yep. Oh, no. Yes.
While you're doing that, I just want to say one thing real quick that I think is very, very cute. I noticed that after you guys were divided in your houses, nobody went back to their original table. You stayed in your houses. Because it's your house, exactly. Can you guys see the spirit of that even for our adult learners? And you guys only did it one activity, so thank you so much for playing along like that, guys.
And it's cool because it's one of those things that gets people up and moving in the classroom, so they're not always stuck in the same spot, you know, causes more conversations and all that fun stuff. So it looks like we are all in, okay, Claude.
Well, yeah.
All right,
Claude is good.
raise your hand. Okay, fine, you need to come find me afterwards so I can find out what Claude is, I'm gonna know a little bit more.
Maybe
Do I use it in something else?
No, because it's more data and Excel.
Oh, so that's,
How you evaluate data.
that's a Scott thing,
Oh,
okay, yeah, that's the.
It could be a year thing too, so no.
Yeah, we'll get there. So those are all different programs that you guys may be using, but there's a variety of different ones that are out there. They're up and coming. They're all over the place. So Florida Ready to Work is one of those online programs that we use. It's through Win programs. And so these are things that are academic and employability skills, soft skills, and digital skills. And these are one of the things that they can earn those points for, because every time they finish the certificate, they get a point. And for our classes, they have to finish one of these no matter what before graduation, whether it be adult high school, GED, or the workforce programs. They're geared towards whatever the program is. So for cybersecurity, I want them to do soft skills and digital skills. For our GED students, it's academic and soft skills. So we gear more towards it, but the great things about these things is that these are certificates that they can put on their resumes as things that they achieved, as they are certified by our state and the governor as things that people want to know. Plus, it helps them transition into the workforce and the different things that they're doing.
Smith,
Yes.
just a little side note, the company up there is Win Learning. So in Florida, we're Florida Ready to Work, but if you're another state, they're connected with the National Work Readiness Council, like she explained to you. And just a little, I don't work for them, but a little plug, they do have a vendor table downstairs. If they don't work with your state, you can talk to the Win Learning Group, that they can come up with a plan like a Florida Ready to Work plan, if you're looking for some kind of package, workforce credentials, hospital program.
I don't, our online people probably didn't hear that. You might wanna. Well, could you put it in the chat?
You check that.
Could you type that in the chat? Thank you.
Okay, alright, so Career Live on Thursdays. So every Thursday I do a presentation and I pick a different person from all workforce oriented items. They could be banker, they could be construction. It just goes for whatever our students are looking for, but we like to gear it towards the programs that we have at school. And through that, it's an online component, so I can produce it to all three schools at the same time. And we talk about, you know, how did that business partner get to where they are today? What path did they take? Are they a GED graduate? Are they a college graduate? They need to see all the different walks of life. And they are all guest speakers and they do their trainings, their career journeys, the whole 9 yards. And then they talk about how you could get a job with them if you were going to apply, what the expectations are, what they're looking for, so that they make those connections. And it helps build reading and math and workplace skills, because that goes along with it. And I'm going to get to this on the next slide. Susan, you pass those out on each table for me, please. Thank you. And it encourages persistent and connection with real life success and the expectations and what they're looking for. So what is being passed out to share at your tables are career power books. And by no means am I saying as a spokesperson for them. However, these are the best books ever. Because these books are geared towards workforce questions. They are working on their reading, they're working on their writing, problem solving, critical thinking, practical applications, and exploring. It has the questions already built in there for them. So I don't have to go and create different things. I can pick a lesson that is geared towards the person that is speaking that day. And then we go through it, we talk about it, whatever I want to add on to it, it works out. So there's everything from math, reading, writing skills, and there's workforce skills. Best books ever. Just. So career focused pathways, we want to make sure that our students have clear connections between our coursework and our career goals. Another reason why that book is awesome. Partnerships with our employers and workforce agencies. So when they get done with our workforce programs or our different adult high school or GED, we want to make sure that they are making those connections to the employers. And so that's also where our Career Live individuals come from, because those speakers are places that are looking to hire or to make the connections and where they can be brought on. We have career counseling and job readiness training. So if they have questions on where they're stuck at, they can speak to one of us. We can send them to Susan or John or to one of the counselors, and they can help point them in the right direction and encourage them to be like, hey, you know what, you're done with your GED. What about doing this? Or, hey, you're doing your GED right now. Why don't you do this workforce program at the same time? So they can do it together and be done at the same time. And then we want to make sure that they are real world projects and that they are experimenting with the different types of learning. So modernizing growth and enrollment. So you've got what we did for retention. I'm going to zip through the rest of this in 5 minutes. Okay. So you have designing with an impact. Adobe, Canva are your best friends. Canva's, sorry. Free, another free program. I made that professional looking flyer for free. On there. I use my real world photos that are from my classrooms. And I put those up on there. I want to make sure that I do visual storytelling, that they are high class photos, and that I'm consistent in color. That my branding is somewhere on there, whether it be our logo is always on there. I'm always using our school colors, and I'm making sure that my text is in a minimum and readable. You don't want giant paragraphs on there, because who wants to read all that? I just want quick, straight to the point. Our QR code is on there that takes them straight to our pages. Let me tell you, QR codes, make sure they're dynamic. Okay, do not get a static QR code, because once that static QR code goes away, it's done. Dynamic allows me to change it to however I need to use it. So when we had the snafu and the website changed because the district decided they were gonna stop using something and they added on a little zero, that static one was the biggest pain in my backside. Now I have a dynamic one that we can change whenever I need it. The dynamic one that we use, I have 4 different ones. So I have our main page, I have my workforce pages, I have my community programs. They all have different ones, so it takes them straight to it, so I don't have to be like, okay, go here, go here, go here. It takes it straight to where they need it to be. So. Susan is gonna help bring around the book, and so is Miss Benjamin, because she's absolutely awesome. These are another form of our retention, recruitment items. So boss here decided that she wanted to save money, and instead of buying books that we would buy online, we created a book. So based upon our construction program is where our first book is. And I used AI to create it. So we put in, I was like, okay, I want it to be written for a first grader on a first grade level. I want it to be about construction. I wanted to overcome a barrier. And I typed in that I wanted it to have a watercolor setting and that it needed to have a seahorse in it. So then it spits me out a story. I was like, not quite, let's make some changes. So I went through and wrote it. So then once we made those changes, I then asked it to create me pictures. Now mind you, the pictures took me a little while because at one point it had arms and it didn't have arms. And so it was a little bit fun, but I've learned things in the process. But where I was going with this is that we hand these out at all the different events that we go to. And as you see in the back, it also has our QR code. So when parents are reading to them, they have access to it. When I'm at 10 events, here's a book for each read. You know, for the little kids, we use it for our literacy, all our fun stuff. They're easy to distribute, just like our pamphlets, our wrap cards, and our books. All of this was done on Canvas, super easy. Sometimes I do use Adobe just because depending on what I'm trying to do, I can't always do it in Canvas. But it's simple. Simple things to do. Yes, ma'am. Yes, and well, and in Canvas and through, at the time, it was ChatGPT is the one I did it through. But so it wrote the story for me. And then I said, create me pictures. I wanted a watercolor cartoon base. And then it created pictures. And I would tell the picture to change from this to this. And then it did it all for me. And then I threw the words back in there. And then I sent it to the print shop. For then less than $3 a book, I now have 26 pages and 10 pages. That's it. So easy to distribute. You customize your materials. Make it simple.
Miss Smith, were you so excited?
I was so excited to do this that she gave me a second one to work on, and I'm going to start that soon. On our healthcare program. So 2 minutes, okay. So celebrate your students. This is another thing that we're talking about, celebrating. So we use our students to put on all of our materials. She is one of our graduates after 8 years of getting through the program, and so she helps go out and she passes those out everywhere. She passes out our GED flyers and all the fun stuff. So you never know who you're gonna run into, but sure. Informal tent events and tabletops, go to all of them. Every last one, whether it be at the park, whether it's at an elementary school. I'm not there for the elementary kids. I'm there because I want their parents. Okay. You have to think about where you're going and who you're trying to get when you go to these events, but don't pass them up. I even go to high school events, and at those high school events, I'm talking about my workforce programs. So I'm not talking about my GED in an adult high school, but I am going to push my workforce programs. So you just have to think about where you're going, but show them off. Okay. Social media is your friend. I know you don't always think that way, however it is. Facebook, I will tell you a little trick that I learned. So 1, you can schedule your post. Okay, so I knew I was gonna be here all week. So I sat there and I labeled out my thing for the week and I went through it. Now, bonus, use your pages, garage sale pages, all these different places that you can add additional postings. You're looking for help or you're looking for employment, post them in those different pages. You want community people. It doesn't always have to be in certain things. Talk about stories, model your success, put your graduation programs up there, put your students and what you're doing, okay? Community partnerships. There are networking possibilities till kingdom comes. You know, the referrals, their partnerships, event recognition, you can do things together individually, one builds off of each other. You guys can solve problems together, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Our first grade field trip, so Sammy here, our magic book is read at that first grade field trip. But those are different things that we do that meet our first grade standards in construction, and so they come to see us and it brings parents. And they have lots of fun. Host events, both on campus, off campus, it's reinforcing that sense of belonging when they're coming. Let them bring their family, make them family events, make it your literacy month. So we bring everybody from our 922 from all these different places to our family event so that they can all participate. Spirit Week, okay? Well, line it with the high schools, make your own version of the Spirit Week, do a holiday week, you know, they're fun, you know, let them break out of the box. And make sure you're celebrating throughout the year. Don't just make it the end of the year here and there. So, you know, we're celebrating through social media. So this is one of our posts from last week. She graduated. We will see her walking across the stage this May. She finished her last GED test. We have our base gala. So that is free to all of our students. Okay, I don't charge them. We don't charge them the $10 for the ticket, but you know, this is their prom. This is somewhere that they get to dress up, they get a meal, they get to take pictures, they get to have fun. And of course, there's graduation. Everybody loves graduation. They get to wear the cap and gown, they get to show off all the good stuff. Be like, look, I made it, you know, so bonus. And our big thing is it can't always be about taking from our people. We have to give, you have to share, you have to give back. And so we do that through building our connections through our community. We do a beach cleanup where we go through, we do toys every Christmas we collect them, but then we also take them down and we build the bags and we pass them out to the families, and the joy on their faces when you hand them those bags is amazing. We also fill food bags for our students throughout the district, and we put our flyers in each of those bags so that that's additional information that goes out. And then all done. And then if you have questions, I would be happy to answer them because I know I went like 2 or 3 minutes over. But that has our emails on them. I will be happy to answer any questions you have here. I will hang out. And if there's anything you want me to do back, I can do that.
And again, welcome to our houses. If you guys see each other, remember your houses and your chairs, okay? We've got a family now.
Here's the back. Your sign, let's do a house picture. Okay, this is the house of the bigger.
Thank you to all of you who are online and being patient with all of our SNAP foods today. You guys have a great day.